Stone walls, 5 meters thick, rising from the African hills with no mortar holding them together. For a century, the men who found them refused to believe what was standing right in front of them. Not Phoenicians, not Arabians, not lost tribes of Israel. Africans built this. Tonight, we tell you how. This is Great Zimbabwe, and at its height, it was home to as many as 18,000 people, a city of stone terraces, royal enclosures, and a conical tower whose purpose is still debated today. It was the beating heart of a trading empire that moved gold and ivory as far as China and Arabia. But when Europeans first laid eyes on these ruins in the 19th century, they couldn't reconcile it. A civilization this advanced, built by the very people they were colonizing, it didn't fit the story they were telling themselves. So they didn't just doubt it, they tried to rewrite it. Colonial officials commissioned experts to prove the ruins were built by outsiders, anyone but the Shona people who lived there. For decades, this false history was taught as fact. Books were published, museums displayed it. An entire nation, soon to be renamed after these very ruins, was built on the premise that its own people couldn't have built its most magnificent monument. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that archaeologists, working against political pressure and threats to their careers, confirmed what should have never been in question. Great Zimbabwe was built layer by layer by Shona ancestors, the direct descendants of the people living in the region today. So who were they? The Shona-speaking Gokomera and later Kalanga peoples settled this plateau centuries earlier, initially as farmers and cattle herders. As their population grew, so did their control over the region's most valuable resource, gold. By the 11th century, Great Zimbabwe sat at the center of a trade network stretching to the Swahili coast, and from there, by Dhow, to Arabia, India, and China. Chinese porcelain and Persian glass beads have been found buried in these ruins, proof of just how far the city's reach extended. The wealth built the walls. Without mortar, without iron tools, stonemasons cut and stacked granite blocks so precisely that some of these walls have stood for over 600 years. At its height, around 1450, Great Zimbabwe was the political and spiritual capital of a kingdom that stretched across much of modern-day Zimbabwe and Mozambique. The Great Enclosure, the largest ancient structure in sub-Saharan Africa outside of Egypt, likely housed the royal family, its curved walls a symbol of the king's authority. Then, within a generation, the city was abandoned. Historians still debate why: overgrazing, exhausted gold deposits, or a shift in trade routes toward the coast. What's certain is that the people didn't vanish. They carried their traditions forward, and their descendants built new kingdoms in the region, including the Kingdom of Mutapa. Today, Great Zimbabwe stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the second largest ancient structure on the African continent. It gave the modern nation of Zimbabwe its name, and its flag features the soapstone Zimbabwe bird, carved by the very people once denied credit for building the walls around it. The lie took over a century to unravel. The truth had been standing in stone the entire time. If you're new here, this is the Ancestral Hour, where we tell the stories history tried to erase. Subscribe and join us next time as we uncover another chapter Africa never forgot.